Hello guys, it's WezTZK and today we're going to be doing the COD Zombies Perk Jingle tier list. This time I'm doing the Treyarch version. Last time I did the Infinite Warfare version. I'll leave a link to that below if you want to see that one. But yeah, we're back on the good old Treyarch Perk Jingles, and everybody knows these, so it should be quite an easy list. But of course everybody has their favourite jingles, their favourite music genres, and the Perk Jingles are made up of a lot of music genres, from like funk to like rock, so yeah, people will have the different opinions, but I'm just going to be talking about my opinions. But yeah, starting off with Quick Revive, I would say it's a good song. Everybody knows it. It brings back those nostalgia, but that's not the main reason why I put it in great tier. It is quite catchy. But I mean, it's nothing too great, nothing amazing, but it's still quite a nice song. And next up is the Shadows of Evil version. I mean, I'm going to put it in good. I don't find myself remembering this one very much. I remember the Quick Revive one, the original one, more. I don't know, it's just something about the Shadows of Evil one I just don't quite remember. It doesn't quite stick very well. I still prefer the old version because for me it just sounds a lot better. And coming up next is Juggernog. I'm going to put this in great tier. It sounds like you're drunk when you take it as well. It has like that drunk theme to it, which I quite like. It is quite a good catchy jingle. Definitely one of the more memorable ones. I'm pretty sure everybody would know this as soon as they hear it. It is just a good perk jingle. And next up we have the Shadows of Evil version. Again, I'd say it's a good tier. I mean, it sort of lost Juggernog's drunk theme a little bit, just went a little bit more Shadows of Evil-y. I mean, it isn't bad, I just prefer the original Juggernog because of course it sounds a bit more drunk themed. I feel like it's a lot more memorable as well. The Shadows of Evil version, I sort of forget. I don't really find myself listening to it that much, so it is sort of forgettable for me. And next up we have Speed Cola, the original one. I'm sure we can all agree this one is just amazing. I always come back to this one, just listen to it. The salsa music is really good. It does keep bringing you back to it. It does have a short, simple message as well, and it is really catchy. I mean, when you hear this in the COD Zombies game, you just can't help but listen to it. It is so catchy, and I can tell most people just camp near Speed Cola just so they can hear this again and again, because it is really good. And next up is the Shadows of Evil version, which to nobody's surprise is again quite good. I mean, you can't really beat the original, but the newer version does still sound really good. It's really hard to compare it with the original though, because it's like they both sound really good, and it's like really hard to tell which one is better. And if you ask me, they are both really good. The Shadows of Evil version again sticks to the same theme, unlike the other two perks where it sort of lost it in the Shadows of Evil version. But Speed Cola, it still sticks to its original genre, except it just sounds a lot more lively, a lot better, and it definitely does deserve the amazing tier. And next up we have Double Tap 2. Or Double Tap 1 and 2 both basically have the same theme, but yeah, I'm going to put it in great again. It is not bad. It's sort of similar to Juggernog's theme. It has like a bar feeling this time. You know, when you go into a bar, you have like music. It sounds a bit like that. But it is quite catchy, very memorable. And although it doesn't have a very clear message, it is still very catchy. And next up we have Shadows of Evil's version, which, yeah, again, it's just going to be in a good tier. I mean, this is definitely one of the more weaker ones. Out of all the Shadows of Evil remakes, this one was definitely the weakest. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it could have been a bit better. It was a little bit boring, but it fits the theme of the map, Shadows of Evil, so I suppose that's something, although it could be a little bit more lively like Speed Cola's version. And coming up next is Stamin' Up, which, I mean, I'm going to put in a good tier. It's not bad, again, it just sounds a bit boring, it's a bit slow, but I like how they've done the Stamin' Up theme, because it's slow on purpose, because of course it's stamming up to make you go faster. So I like how they've sort of taken that into consideration with the song, because the song starts off slow to tell the player that you need to move faster. I do like how they've done that, but it could sound a little bit better, like maybe it speeds up towards the end or something. And next up is Mule Kick. I would have to give this a great tier. It does have a really good story behind it, El Burro, etc, like Mule Kick. Although it doesn't have a very clear message behind what the perk does, it is still quite catchy, very good to listen to. It's not my favourite perk jingle to be honest, but it is nice to listen to. I will listen to it again and again. And coming up next is the Shadows of Evil version, which, yeah, again, it's going to have to go in the good tier. I feel like the Shadows of Evil version, it lost its charm with Mule Kick a little bit, because from Mule Kick we all know El Burro and his story, but in Shadows of Evil they sort of threw that out the window, just sort of forgot about him, just went completely opposite direction. I don't know what happened there, but it just doesn't sound that good. I mean, it sounds good, don't get me wrong, but just nothing as interesting as the original Mule Kick. So it was a bit of a step in the wrong direction, to be honest. And next up is Deadshot Daiquiri. I mean, the perk isn't very good in general, but I would say the jingle definitely is. And I know this will probably cause some controversy, because I know quite a few people don't like Deadshot's jingle. But then again, it depends on your music genre, what you like. And I quite like rock, so this is definitely parts of something I would like. Although, yeah, it's not the most interesting compared to Shadows of Evil and the Speed Cola versions. I would still take Speed Cola over Deadshot's jingle, but it definitely isn't too bad. PhD Flopper. I would give this a great tier. It is actually quite good, quite catchy. It's got like a funk kind of theme to it, and the main solo and chorus is very catchy, very memorable. Doesn't have a very clear message to it, but it is still really catchy. Definitely one of the perks I do listen to. I do listen to this one quite a lot because it is so catchy. And moving on to Black Ops 2's perks, we have Tombstone. I'm going to give it a good tier. I mean, it isn't bad, but yeah, nothing too interesting that makes you re-listen to it. I think a few people do like this one, but for me it's just not something I find myself re-listening to. Well, I mean, there is better things you can listen to, and as we all know, Tombstone is a bad perk, so I suppose the jingle is the best thing about it, to be honest. And coming up next we have Who's Who, which, just like Mule Kick, it does have a bit of a story behind it, although the message isn't really there, but I would still give it a great tier. There isn't really a clear message of what Who's Who does, but it is still a really good perk, quite catchy, just like PhD Flopper, although I would prefer PhD Flopper's jingle. But Who's Who doesn't have a bad jingle, although it is a little bit boring for me. And coming up next is Electric Cherry, which, yeah, I'm gonna have to give this the very bottom. I mean, there's no lyrics, nothing about it. It's just a little jingle, short jingle. Sounds like a bunch of wind charms or something. It's just, why? I mean, I understand it's on Mob of the Dead, so no perks had any jingles, but if it was outside of Mob of the Dead, at least give it a jingle. But yeah, no, this one was just very boring. It's not even that long either. It's like 10 seconds long. It's got nothing to it. Coming up next is Vulturade. I'm going to give this a tier. It's not bad. It starts off a little bit slow, a bit boring, then we get a good saxophone solo. And that's about it, really. I mean, it's not too bad. It is great, but yeah, it could be a bit better. Although it does fit Buried's theme quite well, because it is sort of like a western map, so I suppose that's something. But I mean, the perk itself is really good, and the jingle isn't too bad either, but it could be a little bit better. And coming up next we have Widow's Wine. This is definitely one of the best perk jingles. All throughout the perk it's energetic, makes you listen to it. It gets your attention no matter where you are. The lyrics and message doesn't really paint a clear picture of what the perk does. It is still really catchy. And just like Vulturade, it does have a good solo to it. However, I like Widow's Wine over Vulturade because Widow's Wine throughout the song has a really catchy jingle to it, whereas like I mentioned before in Vulturade it just starts off a bit slow, but with Widow's Wine it has a nice flow throughout. And coming up next we have Elemental Pop. I mean, I'm gonna have to give it an meh okay tier. I mean, it's not bad, but I just found myself falling asleep halfway through the jingle. I mean, it was a bit mundane, a bit boring. There's just nothing too interesting like Speed Cola's jingle where it like makes you want to listen to it. To be fair, I can't really listen to the whole thing without just getting bored. It's just nothing really too interesting. And this is the problem with the modern jingles, because they've sort of like took away that charm that the old ones had. It just sounds really boring in my opinion. But I don't know, that might just be me, but I just find this one boring. And next up is Death Perception, which I'm going to put in a good tier. I mean, it's not bad, it has a bit more energy than Elemental Pop, but yeah, nothing too interesting. Never really found myself going back to listen to it. It's just like, yeah, whatever. It's a Perk jingle, I suppose. But yeah, one good thing about it, it does have a good message. You do know what you're buying when you listen to the Perk jingle. It does have more energy than Elemental Pop, but then again, it's just nothing that interesting. And finally, last but not least, we have the Pack-a-Punch jingle, the full one. Yeah, I bet most of you didn't even know this one had a Perk jingle, but it actually does. I'm pretty sure the Pack-a-Punch Perk jingle, it's in the files. I don't think it actually plays in game, so you have to like do a bit of digging. But yeah, overall, I would give this a good tier. I mean, it isn't bad, but it's sort of dragged on a little bit, so I can see why they sort of cut this from the game. In Black Ops 2, when you do Pack-a-Punch, you can sort of hear part of it in town when you get the gun out of the machine. It is quite catchy and does have a good story, just like Mule Kick, but then again, it just sort of drag on a little bit. Listening to this Perk jingle, it's like 3 minutes long, so it is a little bit longer than the others. So I mean, it isn't bad, but then again, it does drag on a little bit. So anyway, that was my Perk jingles tier list. What do you think? If you haven't checked out the Infinite Warfare Perk jingle tier list, I'll leave a link for that below. But do you agree? Do you disagree? Do let me know down below. Join the Discord if you're new. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more COD Zombies content, and I'll see you in the next video.